Hey gang, Mocha Boy here, welcome back. So we're going to take a look at just a couple more Valk-o-matic attacks. And when I say Valk-o-matic attacks, I mean it's really just a generic moniker for any composition where you're sprinkling in Valks, but there are other key components that we're going to be looking at. We're going to look at two farming raids and we're going to look at one war raid. There was one in particular that just came in that kind of caught my eye. Let me see if I can find it here. So yeah, this comes in from Cyrus the Great. He's one of the newer Town Hall 9s. Max Town Hall 9, he's only coming in with an AQ15, but he is starting his AQ walk down around this corner. Now take note of the distance between the wall and the air defense, because that's going to be critical for trying to figure out how you want to target these air defenses. This air defense here, as well as this air defense here, both are within range of the AQ. So she has pretty much unfettered access to both of these air defenses, and you want to get her moving west. I mean, you have 30 seconds to plan this out, but you see a configuration like this and you figure you want to get her moving west, and then your breach is going to be somewhere over here on the west side to target these other air defenses. This other air defense on the other side, not a huge deal. It's not going to contribute anything to the defense of the base until it's too late because it's so far out to the edge. But when you're looking at these bases and trying to plan your AQ walks, it has nothing to do with getting at the town hall or getting at the storages. Although if you want that dark elixir storage, then maybe you plan for that. But really, you have to kind of put on a set of blinders, and you have to let everything else just fade away from the base, from the map, and really key in on where those air defenses are. Because once those air defenses go down, there's nothing to stop the AQ from mopping up probably close to 50% of the base just on her own. With a lot of the other high-level TH10 attacks, the attacks get split up into two primary teams. You have the AQ and healer team, which is tasked with clearing the entire map, and then you have that ground force who's tasked with taking out the infernos and anything else that can threaten the healers. Because so long as you can keep your AQ up, she'll be free, and there's time left. She'll be free to go and wreck the entire base, and that's exactly what happens here. He takes down one air defense, takes down another air defense, starts sending in his ground forces in at that last air defense. He does have 4 wall breakers, but you don't even need to worry about those because he breached all the way from the exterior to the interior, and now he's got just all these ground forces in the core, along with some fast DPS via the Valkyries. Now what's going to end up happening is with these giants, they actually under rage have an incredible amount of DPS. So much so that they can fight their way through walls. And luckily for him, he ends up saving one of his rages, anticipating that he was going to be able to use that to rage those giants through those walls. I mean, a lot of this, there's only so much that you can plan in 30 seconds, and a lot of this is done on the fly. When we look at these attacks and folks are trying to work their way through these different types of attacks, there is such an element of there's a huge element of creativity, and then being able to think on the fly, so that because the attacks almost never go the way you think they're going to go, and then every now and again it just all kind of clicks and everything works the way that you need it to, and then you can go on and 3-star the base. He only went in with 5 Valks there, and you can adjust the numbers depending on what your resource needs are. I like to go in with a lot of Valks because 8 Valks can completely gut a core in about 2 attack rounds under rage, which is pretty crazy. But at Town Hall 9, this is a great example of one of the different types of attacks that people are pairing up with AQ walks to farm for all these crazy resources. That was one. The next attack we're going to look at actually doesn't have an AQ walk component to it, although I encourage everyone to try to learn them. Understand how to path, how to target, how to go about planning your AQ walks, things like that. So one of the guys that we've been training up, everyone has been experimenting in different degrees with Valk attacks. But one of the things that we do like doing, 4 Valks, 5 Valks, 6 Valks, getting them in with the core kill squad, but mostly because they have a huge amount of hit points, but they've also got that huge splash damage, where they can just take down a lot of buildings. In just a couple of swings. Now, this one particular clan that we were up against, they had some very easy bases. A lot were symmetrical. The clan castles were very easy to access, and this is a great type of base to train new members on, just so that they get the the basics of a lot of these attacks. Down. And one of the first things you want to remember is if you bring 2 poisons, you don't have to wait for 1 poison to finish to let the to drop the other one. You can drop both poisons right away, and the effect may not necessarily stack, but you will have double the effect, and you won't waste any time with those poisons. So, attacking these symmetrical bases, especially ones where you have all of these air defenses in the core, there's a lot of different ways to attack these bases. He decided to go in purely with the ground force, but you could have just as easily done a mixed or a hybrid raid, some sort of a go wee wee or go ground force to take out all the air defenses, which are really low, and then clean up with loons on the back end. But we've been having a lot of success with pairing in or sprinkling in those Valks with just about everything else. You have the equivalent of giants in terms of hit points, but then that with maybe 3 times the amount of damage, and they can just do an incredible number on defending queens, defending barbarians, low hit point structures like Teslas. Their housing space limits the amount of them that can get sprung by spring traps, so that's also a pretty good thing. And once he gets all those tanks in the core, the hogs are free to roam the exterior of the base and take out what's remaining of them. And that's kind of the way that you approach these symmetrical bases. You want to figure out where your breach point is going to be, and then you want to figure out where your support team is going to go in. And by support team, I'm talking specifically about the hogs. Generally speaking, you want to do everything that you can to keep your kill squad alive, because that way they will survive to the end to assist on cleanup. You never want to just leave them to die, especially with these symmetrical bases. But these symmetrical bases are really easy to attack. You just pick a breach point, you pick a support point. Get those heroes down, get the CC dealt with. Remember to use those giants to shield the hogs on their initial jump into the core, and then just go ahead and collect 3 stars. So that was a lower base, but there have been some questions lately about how to attack some symmetrical bases. This is definitely one approach to them. So great job on that hit, Mike. Alright, so the last attack we're going to look at now, this one, this was a beast mode attack here from yours truly. I'm still sitting up in Champs 2, still running the same comp. This was the base that I hit. So another box base, but low walls, love these bases with low walls. You can just completely do a number on them. But max TH10 defenses. This guy let his base sit, and I am going to... then I'm going to take advantage of it. Now, I did get a couple of questions in from YouTube asking about how do you pick which sides to attack. Generally speaking, what you want to do is you want to keep your AQ as far away from the Infernos as possible, which means, in this particular case, going up against this wall or this wall. However, that's not a hard and fast rule. You can do this wall, but try to take a visual note of this distance here. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that Inferno has just a little bit of its trigger range, its targeting range, that extends past this wall. So what is it? 6 tiles, 7 tiles, 8 tiles, and then that 9th tile. And your AQ will eventually end up passing through this zone. So this is definitely one that you're going to want to keep away from. This side, however, the Inferno is just out of range here, because that Inferno is backset just by one tile. So that's enough to keep her safe up here. If you wanted to do the top right or the bottom left, that's completely fine too. Of course, in 30 seconds, I had no time to plan this attack, and I just said, you know what, let me just go on the southeast side. And sure enough, I ended up getting caught within the Inferno and having to drop my ability a little earlier than I had planned. But early on, I'm still running with five healers. Come up against 1, 2, 3 point defenses, 2 splash defenses. Paid no attention to where the air sweepers were, but I did have to drop my rage just a little bit sooner than I wanted to. Not that huge of a deal. But once I know that she is safe, I can start prepping for the ground attack. Now I never go to the point that I know I never want to meet quite with her. I try to target some other buildings and then leave some buildings between my ground forces and the AQ. I want something to drag her a little bit further south and keep her out of range of those infernos as long as possible. And sure enough, that's what ends up happening. She gets targeted by one of those. I noticed it at the last second. She had a sliver of health and was able to pop the ability to get her out of there. But as you notice there, the Valks are in the core. There's only about 5 or 6 of them, and they're just absolutely shredding everything in the core. The BK and as well as the Giants retarget to head back into the core. And then, like I said, this is what happens once you get that last Inferno Tower down. The AQ has next to nothing left to stop her from walking the rest of the base. And that's one of the things that makes this attack so powerful, is that you're going in and not so much targeting you are targeting certain defenses, but what you're doing is you're removing the threat of concentrated pockets of point defenses, as well as targeting at least 1 or 2 of those air defenses. And then these box bases, once you can gut that core, and this was a defensively maxed base. This is one that I've been looking for, to see if this would work against. And yeah, she went on to go or she was responsible rather for destroying, I think somebody noted, about 3/4 of the base, just her and those 4 or 5 healers. Somebody did ask whether or not 4 was fine. I do like to bring 5 because I usually end up losing 1 and sometimes 2 healers, so it's really just overflow. Yes, the first 4 are the ones that matter the most. The 5th one only adds about 10%, but I do like to bring that extra healer just as backflow for when I end up losing a couple of healers, somewhere on the line. And boom, that's with the champs bonus. That's 250, and like 1200 DE, well over 1 million raid just in that one attack. So good times.